Hello, Lisa. I am so excited to have you here for an interview for the Virtual Art Summit. This is our first time meeting via video. I've been following your Instagram for ages. Love your work so much, and I am so honored to have you as part of the Virtual Art Summit.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
I am so excited about this summit this year and our theme with Return to Play. I just think it's something we need so much in the world right now.
Definitely.
So what I'd love to just start off is getting to know you a little bit better, your story of how you became an artist and a little bit about your journey.
Okay, yeah, no worries. I started, I suppose, I did a fine art degree when I left school, which feels like a long time ago now. So yeah, and that was very much contemporary art. I did a lot of sculpture, and I came out of that kind of a bit lost, really, and I didn't know quite what direction to take, and I did a lot of research on the internet, and I came across art journaling, which I'd never heard of before. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what you were supposed to do. I had absolutely no clue. So I ended up emailing one of the artists that I'd found, and she got back to me, and she was really good. She just said, just play, just let go and play and see what happens, and don't worry about the end result. Just enjoy it.
Best advice ever, huh?
Exactly, the best advice ever. And I did. I started, and that's like 20 years ago now, and I've never looked back, really. I've art journaled ever since, and then along that path, obviously, I then got into making my own journals. I've carried on with a lot of the other stuff, like the painting and drawing from university, but feels like art journaling's been like the constant since then.
Mm-hmm. So. And when did you start moving into the realm of teaching and creating courses?
So probably I started teaching probably around 2012, I'd say. My kids were at school by that point, and had a bit more time. And I decided that I wanted to actually do more with my art. I went and did an adult teaching qualification and just did face-to-face. It was just all face-to-face for a long time. And I was working alongside my other jobs. And it was only last year that I took the plunge and became a full-time artist.
Oh,
yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, moved into more of the online stuff. It's been interesting, but I feel like I'm still at the beginning of the journey. I've got a lot to go, a lot to learn, and a lot to, a long way to go.
But life is a journey, and so is art, and the process of just discovering and rediscovering and figuring out what the next best step is. But you plunged into teaching, and it seems like you're popping up everywhere now. So that's good that you're getting a lot of visibility. People are seeing your work, and of course you have a distinct style, so people want to jump in and learn some of your techniques, which is so great for us here with the Virtual Art Summit, is that we get to, learn from so many different points of view. What would you say is your favorite thing about art journaling or the materials that you use?
I feel like it's almost like a necessity for me, art journaling now. Like if I don't work in a journal, I feel like a bit antsy, like I need to do it. For me, it's that kind of release. It's my relaxation. It's my mindfulness. It's my play, and it feels like a real essential part of my life. Really, I need it.
You need it. And the materials that you use?
I have my favorites. I have my go-tos. I like using quite a lot of natural stuff like coffee and turmeric and things like that. But I also love my watercolors and soft pastels and things like that. So I have my favorites. I do like to explore other things, and you'll see, you'll always see lots of new materials coming in. You're like, oh, I want to try. But yeah, there are certain ones that I always come back to.
So tell me more, Lisa, about how you're using natural stuff like coffee, turmeric. Is it just like an exploration in what natural organic stuff can cause different kinds of color? Just explain this to me, because I'm fascinated with it. I see many artists like tampering with these different ideas, boiling tinctures and beetroot and dirt and who knows, like it's like such a really cool idea. I've only played with like tea stained stuff before.
I think I started off when I came across eco dyeing, when I was making journals, and I came across the eco dyed pages and the gorgeous sort of prints of the leaves and things that you could get, and I was just completely like, oh, that looks so good, I just want to try it. And that kind of led to, oh, well, what else can I do to create color from the natural environment? I'm quite inspired by the natural environment around me. I live nearby the National Peak District Park over here, in the UK. It's a beautiful place. So actually getting out and seeing what plants will produce different colours and what marks I can get from eco dyeing, and it's a real fun exploration for me. I've been really enjoying just exploring it really and seeing what colors I can create next, really.
Yeah, what kind of marks it makes and just the reaction you get with it. Do you have a course in eco dyeing? Have you ever taught that before? I'm sorry if I don't remember like the different offerings that you have, but that's something I would sign up for, is what I'm saying.
I haven't yet. I have done recently the mini marks course, which is a collaboration with Autumn and Sarah Strandquist and Sophie DeCourt, and that we each did some mark making and made a journal from scratch.
Your journal, I saw it in my feed this morning and I'm like, I want to do that.
Yeah. It's been really good actually, because I've got to see their workshops as well as like playing around with mine.
Yeah.
But for me, I took that opportunity to make a natural journal from start to finish, and natural mark making and dyeing and things like that. So there is that one, but I haven't done an eco dyeing one per se. But
how about in the virtual art summit? Did you play with eco dyeing in the virtual art summit?
I'm not sure yet.
Not sure yet. So we're recording this for those of you who are watching it much later. We're recording it early in 2023. So we're still in the process of designing and figuring out how we're going to play. But I'm going to encourage a little bit of eco dyeing because I think that's just such a curious place to explore. And with the Color Crush Creative, we're doing 100 days of play. The 100-day project, starts tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. So we decided we're going to just be featuring and talking about like 100 ways to be able to play in making art. And that leads up to, it ends like 2 days before the virtual art summit begins. So it's like, I keep seeing all the eco dyeing. So I'm like, definitely like got my interest peaked about it. But you make so many other gorgeous layers and textures. I see fabrics in there. I see like ephemera and or silhouettes of people or whatever in your work. And I love that you incorporate so many different elements.
I like to create stories quite a lot of the time. I kind of will take images. I love the vintage images and the people especially. And I tend to sort of then add them, but sort of create a story around them. Who were they and why are they there? And it usually ends up linking back to my own life. So, you end up telling your own story through others, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't often put personal photographs in my work, but my own personal story comes through those photographs that I find.
Do you go on like to flea markets and vintage places to like find these bits and pieces? Where do you get them?
I think you guys in the States have better thrift shops and things than we have over here. We've got like charity shops and the odd junk shop, but nothing like you have over there, I don't think. I'd love to come over and just spend a whole time in your thrift shops.
Well, there are like these big gatherings in the South. Like I think there's this massive one in Texas, and I've been dreaming about like these fantastic flea markets where you can find all the old postcards and ledgers and diaries and everything. Yeah. Oh, one of these days. But I love going to Europe and finding vintage stuff there because it's older. You can find older stuff there.
Yeah, the junk shops or the antique shops tend to be a good place to look, but they do mean the price. They're a bit pricey because things tend to be quite old. Car boot sales in the summer. That's the other source. So I guess that would be like a garage sale. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So just a big field full of cars and people selling things out of their boots. Yeah.
I love that. And for those of you who don't know what the boot is, that's the trunk.
That's right.
The trunk of the car. But I love that. That's a fun way to do it too. So oftentimes I just resort to finding things on Etsy. So that's a great resource. And then even printables to resource some of those vintagey kind of feel. But I guess with eco dyeing, you can age anything, right?
Yeah, you can. I've kind of become a bit addicted to just aging papers, and even if I get vintage papers, I find myself aging them even more.
Oh,
so yeah.
What would be your favorite technique doing that? Do you use paints or do you go ahead and use some of the like coffee staining and such?
Coffee and tea staining, I say mainly. Yeah.
Do you do actual journaling in your art journals, or is it mostly just visual journaling?
If I ever do journaling, it comes first and it gets covered up.
and then it gets covered up. And that way,
Yeah,
you know, like you said at the beginning of this conversation, the meditation, the expression, that natural process.
exactly. It sort of sets a mood. If you start writing in it, it sort of sets the intention. And then I don't mind covering it up. It's like, it's there. I know it's there, and I can work over the.
Yeah. How do you balance, now that you've got it as a full-time job, how do you balance making sure you make time for art in your busy schedule? Or have you really like literally made daily practice because it is your full-time career now?
I think I've been doing art journaling so long, it is just a natural daily practice. That's just kind of, it's just inbuilt in my schedule. I guess I do try and hold back a couple of hours for just my artwork. That usually tends to be like painting and things, which I don't get as much time to do on top of everything else.
Yeah.
So like portraits, you can see in the book. Yeah.
Wow, I love
Yeah.
it. But we get a little teeny peek of it.
Teeny peek. That's my daughter.
I love it. So because the theme is all about, you know, returning to play, I'd love to just discuss how we, you know, everyone who's joined the Virtual Art Summit has come because they're either curious about creating art or they've already decided art is their thing, making, you know, the visual process, the materials, the expression. But I know from experience that a lot of artists, a lot of creative people who start this, they have this fear of perfection. They want to be able to sit down and create some masterpiece every time that they sit down. And that's one of the reasons why for the Virtual Art Summit, we're like return to play, to try and break that habit in their brain, like thinking that creating must mean the final product. Can you give some ideas, like give some advice? We just want to hear your point of view of how you help artists kind of break through that barrier.
It took me, when I first started out, I think that was my barrier. I found, you know, you kind of caught up by trying to be a perfectionist or creating something that looks how you want it to look in your head, and it doesn't work that way. So I think over time, developing my style of just kind of, my style is very intuitive. So I've got to the point where I just let the materials do what they want. I focus completely on the process and not the outcome. You know, it's quite difficult to just kind of let go and not worry about that outcome. But I'd say start off on a substrate that you don't care about, you know. And yeah, it doesn't matter then.
Cardboard, cheap paper,
exactly. Yeah, you know, don't pick up your most precious journal that you've been saving for best and try and work in that. Just grab an old, you know, a page from a magazine or an old scrappy piece of paper, like you say, cardboard, and work on that, and just allow yourself to kind of let go and play without worrying. And if you don't like it, it doesn't matter. It just gets ripped up and it's collage fodder, and you know, it doesn't matter.
Exactly, it can be used again for something else.
Exactly, yeah.
So precious. Yeah. One question that I usually ask podcast guests, I love asking anyway. It's like, I like hearing what people's vision of their future as they move forward. Like, yes, it's important to be in the present. I'm so grateful that, you know, I just have the opportunity to talk to you, to make art, to run my business. But I know that dreams fuel us. So I want to ask you what your vision for your future is, what your big audacious dreams are, and, you know, what you see happening, what kind of ways people will be able to connect with you moving forward.
I'm just hoping to grow as I am. My online presence, my online courses, long-term goals. I'd love to be able to do something like a retreat, get people over to the UK, get them walking in the hills, get them creating. That's a long-term goal. But I'd love to do something along those lines. Just
to be able to meet in person and have that energy again.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the online stuff, and I do online like the self-paced kind of online courses, and I also teach a lot of virtual face-to-face sessions where I get to chat to people, which is lovely, and I absolutely love getting to meet people from all over the world. But there is also something about having you there face-to-face and being able to connect in that way.
Yeah, for sure. And then that's something that we've been missing so much after we can say the pandemic, but I think that we've all kind of turned more inward and inward with the advent of different ways we can connect through the screen, which I'm again grateful for. Like you, like, it's great that we have this resource that I wouldn't have met you if it wasn't for Instagram, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
At the same time, I think we're craving that personal connection, that actual maybe being able to hug again. I don't know.
Yeah.
I went to my first, I visited an art gallery opening for the first time last week in like 4 years. I'm like, why is it taking me so long to get back into this swing of things, But I think you're right. Having those retreats, those gatherings, and maybe switching how people think about that again. Because a lot of people have like pushed it off, like, well, we don't do that anymore. We do it all online. But let's maybe reframe that idea again and like bring it to the forefront. Like the gathering is important, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a different connection that you get when you're face to face with somebody, isn't it?
And real-time feedback. If you're learning art, that was one of my favorite things about teaching in person is the questions that I get back are immediate and immediate answers. And that's been really lovely. I guess you can do that when you're doing like the online live in time video chats too.
Yes. Yeah. What you miss is the inspiration from the other people around you on the course, because you're being inspired by the person teaching you, and you can all converse and it's great, and you can get a really nice atmosphere going, but you can't see what the other people are creating.
Right.
And so it's getting that inspiration from all of you in one room.
It's a synergy that can't be quite replicated on camera, can it?
Yeah, exactly.
So why don't you just share again where we can find you online, and if you have any like upcoming events or offers or anything that the listeners and the people of the Virtual Art Summit can connect with you about.
So you can find me at my website, which is lisa-goddard-art.co.uk. You can see all my courses and things on there. I'm always on Instagram, so you'll find me always on there. In terms of offers and things, I was going to offer a discount on one of my courses for the people at the summit. Which is
for those on the summit. So come and join the summit, and on the inside of the summit, there will be a discount for a specific course.
Yes, and it's going to be my Echo of Footsteps course, which is a walking art journal. So it's a course that I put together, and I go on walks in my local environment or all around and about, and I'm then inspired by what I see to create an art journal page, and I take you along with me. I show you lots of different techniques, art journaling techniques as I go, but it's trying to get people to get out and explore and be inspired by their surroundings.
I love that. What a beautiful idea. Get us outside, away from the screen, or as Kelly Herrick says, sky before screen, so that we can like spend a little time connecting with the real world.
Exactly. And then come back and create.
Then we get to create. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm so glad I got to connect with you and for you to join us in the Virtual Arts Summit. It's been amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.